Hi everyone, welcome to Special Interests with Bob and Donna. We'll learn about how to sharpen your knives.
Okay, all right. Now with this new knife sharpening system, how many years or how many days of experience?
About a month.
About a month.
About a month.
My point being is if I can tackle something like this and make not just a knife very, very sharp, but scary sharp, you can do this. It's really a simple system. It's an inexpensive system. It doesn't break the bank.
And who makes it?
Lansky, Lansky.
LanskySharpeners.com.
And the system is we'll get into that in a moment, but just to give you an idea, it's a controlled angle sharpening system. Many of you out there know what I'm talking about when I talk about controlled angle. Give me a block, stone there, one of the bigger ones. Okay. The initial problem with sharpening, say on an Arkansas stone, is that you have to kind of guesstimate the angle. What you want to do is put a nice bevel on each side of this blade. So let's talk about a 90-degree angle. And if we cut a 90-degree angle in half, that would be 45 degrees. Math coordinator for the District of New York.
That's a simple arithmetic problem.
Now if we took, well, it gets tougher, Donna.
Okay.
So if we took that 45-degree angle and we cut that in half, what would we have?
22 and a half.
22 and a half. So that's basically where we'll be. Actually, we'll be looking and working with degrees from 17 degrees to 30 degrees. But just to give you an idea, that 22 and a half is kind of in the middle of that. And it's kind of hard to run this blade from the heel of the knife to its tip and hold this perfectly angled. But we have a kit that we'll be looking at in moments, and it is the magic to sharpening, getting your knives scary sharp. You can put that back, Donna, and we'll put this out of harm's way here. Okay, as Donna mentioned, besides being a novelist, I'm an outdoorsy guy. Don and I do a lot of fishing, and as Donna had mentioned, we do it all. We do spin, we do bait, we do fly fishing. So an important tool for the outdoorsman, as many an outdoorsman knows, is a knife. Not just a knife again, but a very, very sharp knife. From a fillet knife, a nice fillet knife.
Hold it steady.
Excuse me?
Hold it steady for him.
Okay. A nice fillet knife. To a hunting knife that you would use for butchering deer. Now this looks like a very scary piece of equipment here, a very scary tool. And this is really for bear. I haven't shot a bear yet, nor do I intend to go bear hunting.
Put it down.
But a knife like this, just this size, this is all you really need to skin and butcher a deer, believe it or not. Just a 4-inch blade, something like that. Okay, so with these kind of tools, you're good for fish, you're good for fowl, and you're good for assorted meats. Not only will we be talking about knife blades, but we'll be talking about serrated knife blades. Okay, that's a whole different sharpening system. Now, Don and I had gone off to, before I got into this more specifically, we went to hardware stores, and we tried to get something that would sharpen serrated knives. They don't have any. They said, well, you could use a rat tail file and get in between the teeth and all that. No. This system that I picked, this kit that I picked, and Lansky has several, covers it all. You can do serrated knives, serrated blades, regular blades. So let's take a look at this kit now. For openers, these are the instructions. For openers, you'll see that this kit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rods. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stones, honing stones, or more specifically, a couple of them are really polishing stones. So you can see how neatly this fits into the case. They call it, Lansky calls it their travel case. But I'm going to eliminate this in a moment. I'm going to show you what I do and why I do it. I'm just resting these on here for now, but watch what happens when of course not cooperating. To get these in here, you really have to snap them. I'm sure you heard that. Snap that in there. That's fine. When I take this out, here's the issue. This becomes an issue to take out. And what happens? This, you can't, it's not discernible now, but this gets bent slightly, and you cannot have that. Why? Because a stone and the rod must be perfectly level. You can see that this is not. So I have to go, actually, let me do this, because we'll be working on this anyways. I want you to see the length. Okay, so now you see it's flat, but here it's really not. So what I have to do each and every time, I lock this in here, and I have to bend this here just slightly to get this more or less perfectly flat. I have to loosen this. You see the fussing that's involved here? To me, it's unnecessary. So what I do is I take this travel case, what they call a travel case, and I put it in abeyance. Won't be using this, won't see this anymore. And Donna, just get that out of harm's way. And I simply found downstairs a vintage case that I've been using for my broadheads for bow and arrow hunting, compound bow, crossbow, and all that. I have so much gidunk and so many boxes that I said I'll use this for storing all of my Lansky
Already
rods.
set up with the
Already
rods.
set up.
Yes,
So
you don't
Donna,
have
what
to
I'm
fuss.
going to do, I'm going to give you this while I'm yakking here, because this will take some time. Just set those up for me, and don't worry about what you'll do is this has to be flat, so this has to be flat with it, so you'll
Okey-dokey.
you know what I'm saying? Just superficially. And in the meantime, I'll talk about this guy here. So I'm sure by now you're saying, well, what does this kit cost? This little kit that I just showed $59.99, $60 for the rods,
That's
5
not bad.
rods, 5 stones. They give you the oil. They give you a base and a post. The base and a post, what I did initially, because I didn't know where I was going to set this up, I took a wood clamp. I took like a 6-inch wood clamp, and I clamped it to the table right here. Okay, this went on neatly. It locked this down. All right, and it sufficed. It was good enough. This is extra. It's an option through Lansky. Costs you $9.99. Costs you $10. So we're talking $60. We're talking $10 for $70. You can sharpen knives incredibly. So what I did was I took an old cheese board here. We used to, if you look around through our apartment, everything has ducks. We have ducks all over
Yes,
the
that's
place. So
that's
this
our,
is my duck motif.
That's our cheese and quackers board that I no longer can use.
So what I did now, in this kit that I have just shown, this will, when this unscrews, the base and the post will fit nicely into that kit also. But like I said, I want a permanent setup. I don't really want to fool around. Let's see what you did here, Donna. Thank you.
How did I do?
Okay, you did well,
I
kid.
did well?
This
Oh,
one can come down a
I
little
passed the
bit here.
test.
You passed the test, okay. All right. So that all fits in there very nicely. But being that I want it permanent, I screwed the post onto the base, and it wobbled around a little bit. Actually, you don't need this. You can simply put the knife in a clamp and hold this in your hand. But if you get the base and the post, you will improve your sharpening dramatically. You don't want to do this by hand, okay? You just don't have the steadiness. So let's take a look at how this is set up. You have a screw here. And you see I have everything that I need in this box. I have a Phillips head. I have a regular slotted screwdriver. You'll see how I use that if we have enough time. If not, we'll continue next month. But anyhow, this goes on here. Okay? Then you take one of your stones,
Make sure it's straight. Make sure I did it right.
and you can see these holes here, these oval holes. And we have, as I mentioned a while ago, 17 degrees, 20 degrees, 25 degrees, and 30 degrees. All right?
So those are the angles for your bevel on the knife.
Right. Now, to give you an idea, 30 is quite an angle. You would maybe take a thick knife and use your 30-degree angle. For kitchen cutlery, you'd be between the 20 and 25. And for the fillet knife that we talked about earlier, we would be at 17. But let's see what happens when we do that. Put the knife in here. And where do you put this? Basically, you start in the middle. Okay, the middle of the
blade?
middle of the blade. And Enzo, if you can, home in on, not hone, but home in on this, there is a notch here, very narrow notch, which would catch the edge of a narrow blade, just in that notch there. Okay? And you can come back to a point like this. If you have an 8-inch kitchen knife with maybe 3.5 inches of width, you would come back further, okay? But let's see what happens when we put this in here. And I'm just going to do this quickly, just so you get the idea. Tighten this up. And then you go from here to here. You screw this down, and this will lock it securely. And again, I should be in the middle, but I'm just showing you that. Now watch what happens. I want to go into 17 for the fillet knife. But guess what? This guy is in a way. So this is okay. This setup is okay for my 20, my 25, and my 30, but it is not okay to do the fillet knife. So what do? They give you now, of course, I'm going to reach for it, and it's not going to be here because it's in this, give me this case. Forgot to take this out. You can see in a case, they had given you an extra screw for the
Rods, for the rods.
for the rod, to hold the rod to the block, and they gave you another screw which takes the place of this guy. So now we'll put
So it
this
doesn't,
in here.
it doesn't stand up as tall. Is that
And
the
you
idea?
can, yeah, use finger pressure, and I'll pretend that I'm using the screwdriver and tighten this up. Now we go in, and let's see what happens. Okay, we're good to go. And you want to say now, we don't want to sharpen the clamp. Is there enough of is there enough clearance? And yes, there is. This can move smoothly back and forth, sharpen the blade without damaging the clamp. But now, let's say that you have a very, very good piece of cutlery and you don't want to mar this blade here. So you have two choices. You can reach for some, and that's why the box is nice, because this little travel case is not going to carry everything that I need, and you will be picking up accessories as you get into this thing. You take painter's tape, and you have two ways to go. You can either tape the part of the blade that you want to protect, or you can simply tape
The inside of the clamp.
the inside of the clamp, wrap it around top and bottom. And be sure to shave off the ends, because although this is not gummy like a lot of tape, it's painter's tape, which comes off very easily. You don't want to, when you clamp down on this, you'll get a little gummy substance within, and you don't need to do that. So these knives, I'm not worried about that. I'm not using that. I worked with the painter's tape. Okay. Okay. And this comes next. Okay. Now, as I'm sharpening, this is sharpened already, pretty just, I don't want to start with a medium fine. This is done, so I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to show you basically how I work. I start at the heel of this blade, and I run it to the tip once, twice, 3 times, okay? I don't have to take the knife out of the clamp. I simply switch it over, put it back in my 17, work from the tip to the heel now. 1, 2, 3 times, okay? This is, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but it'll tell you on here, this is a medium stone, 280 grit. It's all labeled here for you. 280, which means the grit, and it tells you that it is a medium stone. Let's say that your knife is dull. Let's say your knife, the edge of the knife is practically destroyed. It's got chips in it, whatever. Okay? You start in this kit, they start you with a red, which is 120 grit coarse stone. Okay? And then we went to 280 medium. And I'm missing, Donna, where do we have? No, that's for the serrated. Missing a blue stone here.
Here it is right there.
No, that's not that
It's
one.
the ceramic stone.
Okay. See, organization is the key. All right. 5 minutes. We're going into another. Okay.
It's around somewhere.
Here it is. No? Okay. All right, we'll pretend that this is not the stone. You go from coarse to medium to fine. That's basically what they give you, and they give you the serrated, the stone for the serrated blade. And later now we got fine, and here we have ultra fine. 1,000 grit. Okay, so we've gone from a 120 to a 1,000 grit stone. But what I did after I bought the kit, I wanted to round off this kit at both ends, at both extremes. So I ordered, this was optional, they call it the super sapphire stone. And it is...
Is that an ultra fine?
No, this is, believe it or not, the ultra fine, but this
Okay.
is finer.
This even finer.
This
okay.
is something like, whereas this is 1,000 grit, this is 2,000 grit, I believe. Okay? And where I had a coarse stone of 120 grit, I went to the other extreme and I ordered, this is optional also, I ordered an extra coarse stone for some serious cleavers that are in bad condition. So at one end of the spectrum, I have an extra coarse stone going to a coarse stone, going to a medium, and going to a fine, and then an ultra fine. We'll call this the fine for now because I misplaced that other blue stone. It's a lighter, it's a darker blue stone.
Okay. He's got a serrated knife in here. Unlike last session, we had regular knives, a fillet knife to be specific, in the clamps. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay, thank you. Ready. I know what you were saying, Enzo. As Donna just said, we're going to start with a serrated knife. Now, a serrated knife is sharpened way differently than a regular knife. We need a stone specifically for a serrated blade. Last time we went through setting this up, so I think most of you are with us at this point. You understand the base, the post, the clamp, where to position the blade in the clamp. And what I'm going to do, rather than say, well, this should be a 20-degree angle, 30-degree angle, I really don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shoot from the hip, and I'm going to put it in a 25.
25 degrees?
25-degree angle. Okay, this is this is the Lansky controlled angle system. So I'm going to use the point, the triangular edge here, to put it between the teeth. Okay, and I'm going to push and I'm going to rock it, roll it, roll it. Go to the next one, just roll it, roll it.
So you're going
The
from groove to
pressure
groove to
that I'm
groove?
using is very, very little. Novices will start up saying, will start out and saying, I want a very, very sharp knife, so I want to dig into this thing and make this sharp. No, you're negating the purpose. You want to go easy. Go between the teeth here.
So each one is done individually?
Each one is done individually. Now, what I really didn't explain last time is some of you may be saying, well, geez, why doesn't he just start from the beginning, give us a dull knife, and go to the end? Because would probably, with my yakking and explaining every step, would probably take better than an hour, maybe like an hour and a half. So I'm not going to make all the passes. We're just going to go through here. 1, 2, rock it, in between, roll it, okay? And we'll pretend that we're making this wide sweep down here. Now, in all candor, to do this job right, I really should, because of this wide sweep here. Oh, and by the way, I think I'm going with a 25-degree angle here. It looks good because that's what I say. It fits better here than it would like we did the fillet blade the last time. Remember, we had to take this off and make clearance to it. Also, let's say 25. Note how this wiggles in here. So what you want to do is to take your forefinger and just hold this lightly. Just bring it up and then let it swing in here rather than have this kind of leeway, okay? So holding my finger here, holding this steady, and we finish up. But to do this right, because the wet blade is pretty long, I would probably start the sharpening here, put the knife in the clamp here, and work up to, what did I say, 20 or 25, Don? I forgot about 25, okay. Work up to this point, then move the blade in the clamp further down, and then finish it up. So I don't have this wide sweep. I can't get in here as neatly as I can in here.
You would be changing the angle if you just left it that way then, probably, right?
Right. You would be changing. You would be changing the angle. So, whereas with the knives, per se, the kitchen cutlery, we sharpen one side and the other. You don't do that with the serrated blade. You sharpen, and boy, I can feel this very, very sharp. This was a little sharp to begin with, and I just made one more pass. I turn this over, and what they want you to do, what Lansky says, if you don't, if you're using just this stone here, is just to deburr. Okay, when we sharpen this side, we create a burr on the opposite side, is to take this and smooth it out. But I can get a finer, smooth movement if I use a flatter stone. So this serrated blade, I checked the specs on it. It's 600 grit. Grit meaning the coarseness or fineness of the stone. So I'm going to reach for my 600. That's 280. My 600 grit stone. Remember last month I had trouble finding it. It was buried in the box, hidden in the box here. This is, I don't know if the camera can pick up on this, this is 600 grit stone here, okay? It's the same as this. 600 grit. So why fool around when I can't get as smooth of an action? And Don, I was in 25. So what I'm going to do now is just deburr. Okay? And again, I would do it in 2 spots to be perfection personified, but this will be fine. 2. Light pressure. I'm not hardly putting any pressure. Let the stone do the work. Don't dig into this. You're negating the process, okay? And now you've taken those burrs off.
See, this one I'm noticing is down here, this is a triangular stone when you're doing the grooves fit in here, as opposed to this one, which is a flat stone.
Okay.
So you use the flat stone, this blue flat stone here, to deburr the opposite side of the thing, so it's different. Let me just hold it for the camera for you, so you can see the different shape. So that's a good idea. So it's where you get it.
Lift that up again, Donna. Let me point this out. You can see the color of the stone being like a clay color, and you can see the filings on the stone because you're taking metal. You're taking metal off of the blade. You're sharpening your blade. And when this becomes a little too smooth, it means that the filings have really packed up in here. So what do? Donna, give me a paper. Here we go. Just rip a piece of this off, okay? I'm going to take my honing oil, and I'm just going to put a drop or so, a couple drops in here, and watch what happens. We are lifting the filings off here, or probably more accurately said, we are floating. We're floating the filings off of this. You can see the darkness. Those are the filings. I can take, let's see if I have my rig in here. Of course not. I can use this.
Here.
Okay. You could use a paper towel, part of a paper towel, but then you're taking some of the paper towel off. It's making a mess. A rag will work much, much better.
And then it cleans it out.
It cleans it off. And good enough.
And the
Okay, you
stone
get
is an aluminum oxide?
The stone is aluminum oxide. There are stones that are, you want to reach back there in that box for an Arkansas stone? We covered this last week, but I just want to mention it again. And Lansky has different kits with different stones. They have kits that have the Arkansas stone. They have kits that have the diamond stones. More expensive, but you will work, it will work easier, it will work faster, it'll get the job done. However, was that Marilyn Monroe, Diamonds Are Forever?
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yeah, and diamonds are forever, right?
Diamonds are forever.
Diamonds
James
are
Bond.
not forever when it comes to the stones because they will wear quicker than the aluminum or alumina in the industry. Synonymous, it's the same thing. Will work better than the aluminum oxide, but the aluminum oxide works fine for a fraction of the price of what the diamond stones will cost you.
And the oil that you use comes with the kit?
The oil that I use is a special Nathan's Natural Honing Oil, okay?
And that came with your kit?
That came with the kit. And you'll remember we had the kit here and we emptied it because there's, I went through the whys and wherefores, but Enzo, if you can maybe take a shot, I can get virtually all my accoutrements in here, okay? Remember we have the stones that came with the kit, and that would be these 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the rods. And you'll remember that it was an option I went off to round off each end of the spectrum. I got an extra course instead of in addition to the course, and I got a super fine, a super sapphire stone, which is even finer than the ultra fine stone. So I'm covered quite nicely. Okay, now let's see what other trouble we can get into here. So obviously this is not going to fit in the kit this way, and I explained why last time. I won't get into that whole business again, but you do want these perfectly level. The stone must be even, level, all the way through, so that when you're sharpening a stone, you have the same angle. If this isn't straight, your bevel, the sharpening of the edge of that blade isn't going to be straight. So let's see what I added to the kit, just playing around. But before we do that, give me a sheet of paper here, Donna. Now remember, this isn't a knife, a blade knife, per se, like cutlery. This is a bread knife, serrated, and it does a very nice job. Scary sharp. Not just sharp, but very sharp. Let's see. Now, whereas my finest stone is about 2,000 grit. It doesn't say so on here, but I did my research, and a stone is 2,000 stone, and it is not aluminum oxide. This is ceramic, okay? The last two stones in the kit is ceramic, and it will create a mirror-like finish on the edge of the blade. But I take it even a step further. So we went to ultrafine, we went to the super sapphire stone, and now we're going to look at something that creates a mirror finish, if you want, on such. I worked on this pretty hard. See if I'm going to tilt this back and forth. You can see that mirror-like finish on the blade. Very sharp. Okay. Now, this knife, this is Knives of Alaska. That's what it's called. That's the name of the company, Knives of Alaska. And as I mentioned last time, this set here, you don't need this big bad boy to butcher a deer. Believe it or not, you can skin and butcher a deer with this blade here. I think that's probably like 3.5 inches or something like that.
That's what it looks like.
Very sharp. We'll see that in a minute. But while we're on the serrated blade business, this also has a groove in here. And remember, I mentioned last time that I am a hunter fisherman. So when at the end of the season I have some hooks on lures that are very dull, I simply pass this along the groove and I sharpen on this stone. So not only is this good for serrated blades, it's good for your fish hooks too. Okay, that's that. And let's give a little plug to the company called Sebile. S-E-B-I-L-E. These are bad boy lures. These we've caught some beautiful
nice action
fish
in the
on
water.
here.
They swim just like a fish. It's terrific. Caught some big fish on that one there.
Very big fish. Okay, so I mentioned we're up to 2,000 grit with the super sapphire stone, and I just ordered, this didn't come with the kit now. I ordered this later. And this is Formax, Formax Microfine Honing Compound. It's approximately 2,500 grit, where this is 2,000 grit. This is equal to a corresponding whetstone of 2,500. So let's see how we're going to use this. I made a strop, not a strap, but a strop. You remember, maybe not your father, but your grandfather shaving with his razor, and he had the belt maybe fastened to the wall, and he would take his razor on the leather. Well, this business just helps it.
Now you have
This is
you
even
have a
fun.
block of wood with a piece of leather on top of here?
Okay,
Oh, no.
right. Now see what I had Donna do, because this is wood on this side, so I don't want to put it here. This is the wood side. Leather is on the other side. I went off to our local cobbler, shoemaker, if you will, and I said, "Do you have any scrap leather laying around?" And he did. And you can see this is the laminated wood, but this top section here
That's what
is
I want.
leather.
And you glued it down.
And I glued it. I just used, do you remember the name of the glue that I used? Nothing fancy,
I don't remember. No, it
but
wasn't.
don't use the Gorilla Glue because you'll have a mess.
no,
There's,
don't
you have to wet it and then it runs out the side. So this was just simple to do. I cut the wood. I glued a piece of leather on here. I'm putting on this micro compound, and the way that I'll work this is, I don't want to use, let me see. Go in here, get my Leatherman. This is a pretty sharp blade. This one's serrated, so as a matter of fact, we don't want that. We're not going to use that one. We'll use another. Put these away. You can see nice, clean, sharp blade. You can see the beveled edge here. And while we're here talking about a beveled edge, it helps to know the nomenclature of a knife is pretty important. This would be like the heel, okay? This is the heel of the blade. This is the tip. This is the edge, the beveled edge. And above it is what they call the shoulder. So that's, if you understand these 4 points, you begin to understand the geometry of a knife. Well, I'm jumping around here, so let me get back to stropping. We're going to strop here. Now, very sharp. If I go this way, what's going to happen?
It's going to cut the leather.
It's going to cut the leather. So what I want to do, and let's see now. I'll just take this, put it here, piece of. You know what this material? We had this on a boat, Donna. Do you know what this material is called?
It's that non-slip grip thing that people
Non-slip
put
grip thing. Okay. So going to this way. Not a lot of pressure. Again, a neophyte. Oh, I got to get this sharp.
And you got to estimate the angle, right? Because I see what
Right.
you're
Now,
doing.
see, there is no controlled angle like on the Lansky. So, again, remember we talked about last time, Here's a 90-degree angle, right angle.
Right.
Cut it in half, you have 45. Cut that in half, you have about 22 and a half. And so that's what we're working with, anywhere between 17, 20, 25, and 30. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of guesstimating here.
And what is that supposed to do?
Sharpen and polish.
Sharpen and
polish. Again, if we had more time, and let's talk about time. When they advertise the Lansky or any of these, it's a 1, 2, 3 system, 1, 2, 3 steps, easy to use. In truth is, it takes time to do a job well.
It's easy to
It's
use, but it takes time.
It takes time, and it isn't 1, 2, 3. You're done. I explained last time. I think I've been at this about 30 days, learning. I have 60 years of experience with hunting, all kinds of firearms and bows and
But
all
not
this,
sharpening
but
knives.
not sharpening knives.
Not with this
So
system
again,
anyway.
if
Yeah.
I can do this, you can do this, okay? And then I want to maybe clean this up here.
Now, what does that look like? Nice.
Okay,
Show the
give me a
camera
piece
what
of
it looks
paper. Okay, let's see. No. Making me look bad here.
There you
we
go.
Okay.
Nice and sharp and nice and shiny.
And
Hold that up to
actually,
the camera.
I would really be stropping maybe 15 strokes on one side, 15 strokes on the other. Starting off, we talked about, which I really didn't cover, why I can't do this show in a half hour. Let's say the knife is really dull and we start with our course. Remember we were talking about our course, 120 grit. Maybe I take 20 passes on each side, nice and slow, not digging in, just a little bit of pressure. And you're putting a new edge on the blade. That's what you're doing. You are reprofiling that blade edge, okay? Then then we would go to a medium. And instead of saying 15 or 20, maybe we do 10 on each side. And then we go to a fine stone, and maybe I do 5 on each side. And remember, if the blade is long, you work in 2 sections. And I work in, not a rule, but I work in 2-inch sections at a time. Instead of maybe sweeping the whole business, maybe I'll just do 2 inches, 2 inches, work up 2 inches, 2 inches. Then we get into our ultra fine stone, maybe 2 or 3. 2 minutes. I'm telling you, we can do another show. But anyways, why
No,
don't
that's
you finish up,
basically
Donna?
the Lansky controlled angle sharpening system. You can find them at
Let me do that.
www.lansky.com.
This is one I've been working on. This
And
is
the finale cut.
The finale cut.
There you go.
Whoops. See? Put a dent in there already. Let me get a piece of paper here.
Okay, while Bob is doing that,
Very, very scary.
I'd just like to
Sure,
inform
please.
you that Bob is available for talks on the criminal justice system, serial killers, the writing process, getting published with fiction and nonfiction, fishing, hunting, and Bob has written books on these subjects, including 9 award-winning crime thriller novels. So Bob will work with large or small groups for discussions at your place or ours. He's available for a nominal fee. So if you're an outdoors person, a hunter or a fisherman, or if you're interested in good crime thrillers
Or the writing process.
or the writing process, if you are an aspiring writer, Bob is the person to see. So for more information, you can contact us at robertbanfelder@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and sharing your ideas. And with over 60 years of experience in this, you ask, what don't you do, Bob? And Bob's answer
Don't get
is,
a lot of
he
sleep.
doesn't get a lot of sleep.
And if I can sneak this in, I took an old belt on the grain side as well as what they call the suede side, and I made another strap. So
So he's
I'm good
been
to go.
busy for the past month with this wonderful Lansky system.
it is a
controlled-
wonderful set.
controlled
60
angle.
bucks.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. Thank you for watching Special Interests with Bob and Donna. We'll see you next time.